Hi there, and welcome to the Form Review Masterclass webinar. We started the series last year, and it was so popular that we decided to continue it in 2019. In this webinar and several others throughout the year, we'll be looking at real forms submitted by FormAssembly customers and suggesting ways that they can improve those forms to get better results, more user-friendly forms, and just overall better data collection practices. Joining me today to give you those expert insights are Hannah Timeldon, Implementation Manager here at FormAssembly, and Katrina Garza, our Customer Success Manager. For those of you that haven't heard of FormAssembly or don't really know much about what we do, I want to start off by giving you a quick introduction to the platform. We are an enterprise form solution built to streamline processes and drive quality form conversions. We offer unmatched Salesforce integration, and we're committed to upholding the highest security and compliance practices. In addition to being the #1 enterprise form solution for Salesforce, we have additional integrations with Stripe, PayPal, Pardot, and many other services. On our Compliance Cloud plan, we also offer HIPAA compliance and PCI DSS Level 1 certification. Before we jump into the actual form reviews, I want to go over a couple ways that FormAssembly helps our customers succeed. First, on any plan, you can receive unlimited form assistance. So that means you can get unlimited support in the form of emails and chats with our customer support team. You can browse our huge knowledge base and actually read through detailed tutorials if you're more of a do-it-yourself kind of person. You can watch free classes that you can sign up for at formassembly.com/classes and much more. Moving on to the ways our Enterprise and Compliance Cloud clients are supported, we offer customer success advocates. So this is an area that Katrina oversees. Our customer success team works closely with Enterprise and Compliance Cloud clients, offering regular assistance with any issue escalations and helping them get the most out of their account. Lastly, our Implementation Services department helps FormAssembly customers take their forms to the next level. Implementation Services offers expert help with your FormAssembly account, and that can be in the form of onboarding assistance, getting your account off on the right start, form building if you don't have time to build particularly complex forms, or if you just simply want some help building those complicated forms. You can also receive group training, and another popular option is the form review. And in this webinar, we're going to show you what that form review actually looks like in practice, and you'll get to see the kind of advice we give to real clients, so you can decide if maybe you want to take that next step and get a form review for one of your forms. And you can find out more information about Implementation Services packages and prices on our website at formassembly.com/implementation-services, and you can also reach out if that's what you end up choosing to do. Now I'm going to pass the controls over to our form experts, and they're going to walk you through the submitted customer forms.
Hello, everybody. My name's Katrina. Thank you so much for the introduction, Maggie. To our first form, first we'd like to thank everybody who submitted a form for review. We're really excited to be able to do this webinar with you all again. So our focus for this webinar really is the form builder. We're reviewing mostly the form builder, a piece of we're reviewing the form builder portion of your form. So that being said, the first form we're going to review is the RIC Center form. And Hannah is going to be driving for me today, so we're going to what we're going to do is look at this form and start from top to bottom and just kind of show you or talk through our thought process with the client when we're looking at the form and we're thinking, how can we make it better? First and foremost, RIC had a few pain points that they'd like for us to address, and they said, you know, our form, they don't feel that their form looked really great visually, and they also felt that applicants took too long, that sometimes it was taking a little bit of time for their applicants to complete the form, and they were afraid data was being lost. So those were the main concerns of the RIC Center. So first and foremost, they are integrating this form and they're embedding this form into their website. Well, we're not going to show you that exactly because we're not going to show you that. We're not going to show you that exactly, but we will be able to show you the form directly. But that being said, one of their concerns was the form didn't look visually appealing, but they're embedding it. You can add CSS to improve the look and feel of your form, which is a really great thing, even when you're embedding it, because you can kind of mimic the look and feel of your website inside your form. So don't forget that you have the ability to add custom CSS to your forms. And you can, change the section colors, the form title colors, and it can really match your form even if you're embedding it. I mean, it can really match your website even if you're embedding it. So that being said, from top to bottom, we have the first section here, and it's called contact information. To make the form more appealing, right off the bat, we usually say you might want to bold your section headers. So what we're going to do actually is we're going to look at this form, and then Hannah was kind enough to make a lot of these changes for us. So we cloned this form, and we'll show you some of the changes that we're talking about while we look at the form right now. So we're going to, first and foremost, we're going to maybe bold the section header of each of these, each section header of the form. And then also, you might want to make the form, so you see how the salutation, first name, last name, title, phone number, email address, and confirm address are all in one column. This would make the form shorter if you did a double column. So you put like maybe first name, first name on one row, you move the last name onto the same row as the first name, and so forth with the title and phone number, and we'll show you that here in just a minute because we did make those changes. And what that does is it makes the form easier to look at and to run through as a user. All right, so let's scroll down a little bit further. We have the founding team profile. One thing we notice in the RIC Center form is that you'll see the second question there is at least one of your founders 29 years is at least one of your founders 29 years old or younger. And you'll see the values are vertically placed, yes and no. But there are other places in this form where the yes and no values are horizontally placed for the yes or no question. And so one thing to think about when you're creating and working on your forms is to keep those types of things consistent. So if you're going to go the vertical route, then keep all your yes or no questions in that vertical, route or that vertical presentation. If you're going to go the horizontal route, then keep them all that route, all on the horizontal presentation as well. Now, we usually recommend going the horizontal route because it makes your form shorter, and because when you do it vertically, you're taking up more space and there's more white space in your form. So the less white space you have, the better. So keep that in mind as well when you're working with these types of fields, yes or no fields or radio button type fields. Let's see, if you scroll down for me, Hannah. Hannah's driving, so she's kind enough to do that for me, so I really appreciate it. And if you scroll down, our next, again, the section headers, you're going to want to make them bolded, like the company name, address here. You can make them bolded. Let's see, scroll down here for me. I think there's a long drop down. Oh, here you go. This field here, it's called, are you working with any other innovation centers? Skip if none apply. One of the things they said is it's taking a while for users to complete this form. If that's the case, let's try to make it shorter. So I was just saying maybe you want to keep your field in a horizontal presentational, the values of fields like radio button type fields or checkbox fields in a horizontal manner. So in this one, you can change this into a 2-column type of presentational layout. So that way it's not taking up so much, it's not user having to scroll very far down, and it's just a much faster process for users to complete the form. Let's see what else we have here. If you can scroll down for me, Hannah. Let's see what we have here. Oh, this is a good one here. You'll see under the industry profile, there's a field called key and industry / industrial sector. This is a radio button type field, kind of like our yes or no that we just saw, except there's a lot more values here. So when if you guys are really familiar with FormAssembly, which we hope you are at this point, but if not, this is a good thing to learn. The radio button field is a single select field. So even though this is a long list, this user can only select one value from that list. We think that, so think of it, so if you're going to go that route, we'd recommend doing a drop-down field instead of one of these radio button type fields, because then it's just, it takes up less space in your form, and it's much more user-friendly if you go that route, because if you just get to choose one from this value, it might be confusing if you see all of these values as a user. You're going to want to think, you might assume that you can select multiple values, but that's not the case with this type of field. So we in our clone, you'll see that we have made this a drop down. You'll see the difference there. Let's see. Let's scroll down, Hannah. Let's see what else we have here. One thing I didn't mention is the if you are going to embed your form, you can adjust the width to accommodate the options for multiple choices and questions. So again, it matches your website, and you'll see the difference when we actually go to the cloned form. Another thing that we noticed here is that you may be able to use a save and resume option, because again, one of the pain points or the concerns from the RIC Center was that that people are taking a little bit of time on the form and they may lose data. But if you turn on the save and resume option in the form, people will be able to save and come back to the form at a later date to complete it. So that way, you're giving them an option to maybe when they need to get up from their desk or step away from the laptop, they can save and come back to it, and then no data is lost if they've left the form up and running. So on this page here, page 3, we see that there's terms and conditions. This is a great thing that you can do in FormAssembly. But one of the things I've helped people do in the past is put this information into a link, and that way it's not taking up so much space in page 3 here. You can put all this information into a separate link, maybe even a separate form or a separate page on your website, and then put that link in here and just have people click on the link, read the terms and conditions, and then sign off on what they need to sign off on. So that's a way to utilize the space better as well. Let's see, we always recommend a reCAPTCHA. That helps with spam. And let's see, Hannah, am I missing anything here? Hannah and I reviewed these together. So this was one that, did I miss any pain points here that we could talk about?
One more thing that I noticed is that the submit button says save, so they could edit that in the form builder. And you see that the contact information link at the bottom, instead of having the contact details in the form as well, they could use the contact information link by adding that to the, I believe, public information that is found under general settings in their account.
Thanks, Hannah. And actually, we changed this in 5.0. You can do the contact information per form. That used to be, you can do it in general settings, and that appears in every single form. But you can also make it specific to individual forms now in 5.0. So that's, keep that in mind. And you can make the contact information section, or that field that Hannah was looking at, larger with custom CSS if you wanted to. Yeah, perfect. Thanks, Hannah. So actually now, let's look at Hannah's good work, and we made some of these changes in the cloned form. So you can kind of, some of the things that we talked about, you'll see here, all the name and contact information we moved over into 2 columns, so it's much more user-friendly, and it makes your form shorter, and there's less white space. Let's see, we bolded all the section headers, you'll see that. And let's see, we wanted to get the yes or no, we turned them into horizontal type presentational layout for those types of, and we kept it consistent throughout the form. We also did a 2-column on this checkbox field here. And then I believe the radio button field was a big one. Yep, Hannah turned this one into a drop-down field for us. It'll work the same way, it's just much more user-friendly, and it takes up less space in your form.
And I think, let me just try to go to the next page. I think page 2 doesn't have much changes, but page 3, yeah, I think that's it, except for the save and resume feature here.
Perfect. Yep, so those are some of the changes that we made for the first form. So RIC, thank you so much. We hope this was helpful for you. We did talk about how you could mimic the colors of your website. You know, how do you do that? You know, how do you work with our themes and so forth? So when in the form builder area, which we're jumping to the form builder area now, you'll see a themes option on the top navigational bar there. And we have existing themes, and I think we could probably just click on an existing theme just so you can kind of get an idea of what that might look like. And you see immediately already we have these built-in themes that you can actually customize. So you can start with one of our built-in themes and customize them, and then kind of get something close to your website. There you go. And we have these built-in options here, so you can get it really close and mimic the same colors in field labeled colors and presentations as what's in your website. So don't forget to do that if you get a chance. And this is for the RIC Center. All right, so I'm going to pass this over to Hannah. Even though she was driving, now she gets to drive and talk. So she's going to review the Transcat form. We'll do it together, but she's going to lead it for us. Hannah, off to you.
Thanks, Kat. So for Transcat, the main pain point or the main concern that they had was they wanted to make their form visually appealing. And also they're looking for ways to streamline the experience. So when you first look at the form, you'll see that it's pretty short, but it actually has 5 conditional sections that are triggered by this main drop-down menu question. So it's always good to use conditional logic so when your respondents don't have to go through each and every section or question in your form. So when you make a selection in this drop-down menu, it opens up different sections depending on the request needed. And one thing that we noticed is that some of the sections, for example, analytical and laboratory instrument service, already has like section titles. But like, for example, the rental quote and the contact us / customer service does not have that. So what we suggest doing is to add section labels and add borders to the groups, just so you could separate each section, and the section labels would actually define each section better. So if I jump to calibration repair, you would also notice that there's kind of white space here. So we could rearrange the fields for a cleaner look and to remove the white space that I was talking about. And also, see, one thing that I also noticed is that this calibration service type opens right beside the main drop-down question. So what we could do is to move that into the calibration repair quote request section, since that should appear when this selection is when this option is selected, rather. Sorry. And then if okay, so for this click for service level descriptions hyperlink, when you click on that, it actually opens in the same tab. So that might be a problem with respondents losing the data that they previously entered. So as a workaround, but I believe our product team is already fixing this issue. As a workaround, you could change it to a radio button. You could add a radio button question and just remove the options, and then just stick with the title and hyperlink that title. So that would also work for that. What else? So do you have a list of instruments to upload? If you click on yes, this file upload field appears. So what we could do is, like, to minimize the white space, we could move that up and we could change it to a yes or no question. This do you have a list of instruments to upload question, so that it would conditionally trigger the file upload if they have more instruments to upload. And if they select no, this enter your instrument information section would appear. And I'm going to show you that real quick. I'll just jump into the clone form. So here you will see that the contact information has borders around it. Same with the other section. So they are separated by these borders, even though they are conditionally triggered. It kind of clean up the form. And we also try to minimize the white space by moving the questions next to each other. And this is the hyperlink that I was talking about. So this, as a workaround, I used a radio button question and just removed the options. I retain the title, and when I click on that, it opens to a new tab, and that would resolve the issue with data being lost. And as for the additional conditional logic used in the form, if they have more than 5 instruments, if I click on yes, that's when the file upload field appears. But then if they don't, that triggers the enter instrument information below section. So let's just go through each section real quick, just to kind of show you how it looks like with using field sets or adding borders to groups. This section also has a hyperlink, so I also did the same by using the radio button question and the title.
It looks really cleaner. It looks really good.
Thanks, Kat. And one last thing, this customer service dropdown used to appear beside the main dropdown question, so I'll show you that. So it appears here, so I moved it down to its own section just to clean it up. And like Kat mentioned earlier, reCAPTCHA is always a good idea to minimize spam submissions. But yeah, other than that, Kat, do you have anything more to add?
No, I think this was a great example. I think Transcat, one thing I think I'd like to point out that they did very well was use the conditional fields for sections. You could see that even those, if they had shown all of those sections to the user, it would be a very long form.
Yeah.
But because they use our conditional logic, it is much cleaner and shorter. So anytime you have the opportunity to use that feature in our system, please do. It does make your forms a lot more user-friendly and easier to use. But yeah, that's all we had. Again, we thank you so much for joining. Hannah and our teams work very closely together, so we hope to see you guys on this end, and we're happy to, scope out or think through any ideas to help you clean up or update your forms or make them as user-friendly as possible.
Awesome. Thanks so much, Hannah and Katrina. That was some great feedback, and I really hope that everyone learned something from that maybe you can apply to your own forms. I see we've got a couple questions coming in, so we're going to jump over and start answering those. Okay, looks like our first question, this came in during the webinar, and it says, how will a 2-column presentation render in a mobile view? That's a great question. You do want to make sure that your forms look great on mobile as well as desktop. Would 1 column be recommended if it's anticipated that people will be filling out the form on a phone or mobile device? Kat, do you want to take that one?
Sure. I think it's definitely worth testing. Our forms are mobile responsive, and you can change the max width within the form builder or add CSS to it. So you could still use a 2-column, but it really would depend on what you're going for. But yeah, I would say a best practice, if you're not familiar with working with maybe CSS and max width and some of that, information and jargon inside the form assembly, you can keep it to a 1 field if you're going to really heavily use that form in a 1 column. If you're going to use that for mobile device, but there are ways to have 2-column fields as well for mobile device, as long as you're working with the max width option in the form. I hope that helps.
Awesome. So these next 2 questions are kind of similar, actually, and it's regarding the equipment question in the Transcat form, and whether we can use a repeatable option for that question. Hannah, do you want to take that one?
Yeah, sure. Definitely. We could use a repeatable question for that. I'm just not sure if they're expecting like their respondents to have a minimum of 5, or if they if you have a file upload field for if you're expecting like more than 5 or a lot of equipments to upload, using that file upload field would help in the load time of the form. But yes, I would say that using a repeatable question is definitely a good option for that as well.
Awesome. I hope that helped answer that question to those of you that had that. This next one, this is from Matt here. Is it possible to show headers or section dividers as colored bars with white text? Katrina, do you want to go over that one?
Is it possible to show headers or section dividers as colored bars with white text? Yeah, you should be able to do that. Sorry, I had to reread it. Yes, Matt, you should be able to do that. You can customize it with CSS or our theme editor. So yeah, you shouldn't have a problem doing that.
Great. Yeah, there's a lot you can do with customization there. Okay, moving on, we have another question. Actually, this is a comment here. The matrix formatting is really difficult, and many times the design view does not match the real life experience. And I'm sorry to hear that. I would definitely recommend reaching out to our support team to see if there's any ways they can help you tweak that and make it look like what you're expecting. Katrina or Hannah, do you guys have anything else to add to that comment there?
I think we've received similar feedback before, but we're always looking to improve, the customer experience with a form builder. So yeah, I would recommend reaching out to support for that, just so we could take your feedback and share it with our product team.
Awesome. So moving on, another question from Matt here on mobile. Will the two columns collapse to one column, or will you have to scroll horizontally? Kat, do you want to take that follow-up about mobile viewing?
Sure, Matt. It should be responsive and it should collapse. That's how it should work for your mobile device. If you need help with any of the CSS or adjustments, we can take a look for you in the support end of things on that too.
Great. So let's see. It looks like we're coming to the end of the questions. If you guys have anything else, throw it in here and we'll answer it. Yeah, it looks like that wraps it up for today, actually. You guys didn't have a bunch of questions. You weren't a very inquisitive bunch, but that's definitely fine. If you have any other questions after the fact, you can always reach out to our support team. Or if you're not a current FormAssembly customer, reach out to our sales team. Or you can browse our documentation for tons more articles and answers on just about any topic related to FormAssembly. Thank you so much for joining us. And Hannah and Katrina, thanks so much for hopping on and sharing your expertise. Once again, if you're interested in the form review option and looking into that for your own forms, you can go to formassembly.com/implementation services and read more about that option and reach out through the form on that page. All right. Well, thank you guys. We'll be sending out a recording of this webinar in case you missed anything or just want to watch it again. And I hope you guys have a great day and join us for a future webinar. Thanks.
Thanks, everybody.
Thanks, guys.
Bye-bye.
Bye.